In Washington, as we bring in the voice of Democratic Congresswoman Madeleine Dean of Pennsylvania. She's live on Capitol Hill as well as we watch this whole story swirl. Congresswoman, it's great to see you. Welcome back to Bloomberg TV and radio. What's your reaction to the news from the Secretary of Homeland Security, who I believe you would prefer to not have that job? Kristi Noem says that body cameras will be deployed to ICE agents on the ground in Minneapolis. And as funding warrants or allows, that program will be expanded around the country. Is that a message to you to not keep the government shut down?
It's a message of desperation. It's a message too late. It's a message of a lack of professionalism. This agency is awash in funding as a result of the big, beautiful bill that sent it another $75 billion. So funding was never their issue. They just never wanted to do the job well or do it right. So I'm not at all pleased with what Kristi Noem has to say. She is unsuited for this job. She's over her head. So, Joe, no, that doesn't help me at all.
Are you a no on this funding package as it stands then? Or are you open to a 2-week CR to work out some details?
Well, I'm somebody, Joe, you probably know this about me, but I don't preview my vote, especially on something as important as this set of bills. I am an appropriator, and so I have to admit to you, it's been extraordinarily frustrating to me that we are in this position, that we are in a position of, in February, trying to finish up funding for the 26th year, which gets us through September. I'm happy we're not going to go by another year-long CR. But as an appropriator, as a member of this caucus, I am dismayed by what is going on here. And of course, the events of January have changed everything. We saw 2 American citizens, Renee Good and Alex Preddy, shot dead in the streets of Minneapolis, not just accidentally, not that that would be an excuse, but she was shot at 3 times. Alex Preddy, after 6 or more thugs tackled him to the pavement, was shot at 10 times by 2 different agents who I understand just today we got some names there. The world has changed since those 2 American citizens were shot and killed in the streets of Minneapolis, exercising their First Amendment rights. Then layer on top of that something I bet you're pretty sensitive to, which is the arrest of 2 African-American journalists, again, exercising freedom of the press in Minneapolis. This is an administration out of control, hell-bent on breaking our Constitution.
We've heard a lot from Republican leaders and some rank and file. Just in the past couple of days, Congresswoman, Sunday morning television told us a lot that the idea of banning masks that ICE agents have been wearing and requiring warrants are non-starters for them. So is there no deal to be had here? Good luck to them. I would ask them to take a look at their American democratic, small d, American democratic values. Would they want their family members ganged up on by thugs who are unidentifiable? I don't think so. So they got a long way to go. And I believe we will prevail because the American people, my constituents, they called all weekend long. I asked everybody, what were our calls this morning? Both in D.C. and back in suburban Philadelphia, Montgomery and Berks counties. And people are just outraged by the state of our democracy as a result of the Trump administration's assault on the First Amendment and so much more, the level of corruption by this president. So Republicans, with a narrowing majority, as you know, we're swearing in a new member tonight, a new Democratic member tonight, need to get their House in order to pass these bills. It's going to be up to them to pass a rule and pass these bills and to actually face the facts about this administration, its cruelty and its lawlessness.
Congresswoman, you talk about what you have seen in January. I am curious, when it comes to ICE and DHS funding, what would be acceptable to you?
I have suggested an absolute freeze of ICE funding at this point. And I've described this to my friends and colleagues on the appropriations bill and in our leadership, a clawback of funding. How is it that we went from $6 billion to DHS to an additional $75 billion and even more in the big, beautiful bill? So there's a lot I want. Total reforms. I have legislation that I'm introducing that would set the number at no more than 10% of a municipal police force can come in terms of enforcement, unless a governor would ask for something more. But they have to be identifiable. They have to be trained, and they have to be going after, as Mr. Trump said, the worst of the worst, the criminals. Don't go after little Liam in his hat and bunny ears, who only has to be returned after being terrorized. Don't go after American citizens in their homes with nothing but a piece of paper that is an administrative warrant. Do this properly. Abide by the rule of law. Have judicial warrants. Come up with facts. As I said, I'm glad January has been put to rest, but I'll tell you what, none of us can rest with this administration in this state.
Congresswoman, I know you serve on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and so I'd like to ask you about Iran. The president was just asked a moment ago in the Oval Office by a reporter about this. The quote was, "Bad things will happen if no deal with Iran." Are we on the verge of striking Iran again?
Joe, think about that. Think of the ping-ponging that is going on with this administration, the distraction around the globe. I think it was only 2 weeks ago I was in Denmark trying to talk to our allies and say, we are your ally. We are your NATO ally, founding ally. And your children should not be afraid of us. The members of parliament from Greenland said to us, a bipartisan, bicameral delegation 2 weeks ago, our children are going to bed afraid of the Americans at night, worried that the Americans are coming in to take them. And then you see little Liam here, Americans taking him. This administration is out of control. And what I wish is thoughtful diplomacy, thoughtful ideas around Iran. Of course, Iran is a very bad actor, killing its own people, killing its own protesters. Listen to those words. Killing its own protesters. That's a problem we have right here, just not at the same scale. So I wish for an administration that is far more thoughtful and not just ricocheting around the globe to distract from the problems that he has here.
Democratic Congresswoman